All right, for our MREA moment this morning, we are going to cover one of the 5 models, which is what we have been doing every Monday morning. And an easy way to remember the models from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent is ELBO. So you have economic, lead gen, budget model, organization model, and expansion. And so we've already covered lead gen, economic model, and now we're going to talk about the budget model. And like I said a few minutes ago, the slides we're using are actually from the Business Planning Clinic, and then I'm pulling some content from my copy of the MREA. If you do not have a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, I would go get one now. You can download it on Audible. You can get a print version. I have the leadership version, which has the tabs. It is going to be your manual for success. It is a foundation of everything that we teach at KW Montgomery. And so many times people have learned about the MREA models, but they don't necessarily know that's what it is. And so the MREA moment is just going to be to take a few minutes and every week and kind of break down those models and make everyone aware of how to utilize them. And so I'm on the budget model starts on page 152. And here it says, with the economic model, we began with the premise you need to understand where your money comes from in order to effectively build your sales business. The budget model is about understanding what happens to your money between the time you receive it as gross revenue and keep it as net income. In short, it is about expenses and, more to the point, minimizing your expenses to maximize your net income. In the economic model, we take and we say, this is how much money we want to net. And then we reverse engineer it and see how much gross commission we need to earn. And then we break it down to how many deals we need to do with buyers and with sellers annually. And then we break it down further to show us how many appointments we need to go on. So in the budget model, we're looking at different tools to ensure that we're taking the money that we receive and keeping it in line to net more money. We don't want to just earn money, spend money. We want to net money. So what you're going to use is your budget, which is a planning tool. You create this annually. It helps you project expected returns and your cash flow, and it helps you restrain the gain. It keeps you in alignment. Your P&L, or your profit and loss statement, is your management tool. This is what you want to be reviewing bi-weekly. It shows your actuals versus your projections, and that helps you adjust to win. 2 rules that you want to look at: you want to invest, not spend. So don't spend money unless you're going to get a return on it. That's that investment. And then practice accountability, not accounting. And that is vital. And we're huge on accountability here at KW. The budget terms that you'll need to know from the MREA and from pages 152 through 158. And the first thing you want to think about is leading with revenue. And that is what you want to adopt, the mindset. Lead with revenue. That's going to help you get in the habit of playing mental red light, green light with your expenses. And that helps you get the results that you want through your expenses and through accountability. So here are some terms that we will be talking about a lot. So cost of sale, and that is acquiring revenue. So it's a cost of acquiring revenue. Anything that happens as a result of a sale you have is a cost of sale. Your brokerage commission split is a cost of sale. Okay. Regardless of what brokerage you're at, you're going to have a commission split. And that is going to be your cost of sale, bare minimum. There are additional things that go into this column, but for just the basics, that is your commission split. And that's why it's vital to be at a company that caps, because you're not looking at the split, you're looking at the cap, which allows you to look at your net, right? Your gross profit is the revenue left over after your cost of sale. Your operating expenses are your cost of running business, whether or not a transaction occurs. So what are some things that happen whether or not you sell a house? You pay power, you pay rent if you have an office, the internet still has to work, you still have to send emails, You still may have employees that you employ. You still have additional things that have to happen, marketing, things like that. Whether or not you have a sale in that month, that's your operating expense. Your net income, that's your pre-tax income after cost of sales and after your operating expenses. That is your net, and that's prior to taxes. So budget model, which we talked about this in the economic model, we go off of a total benchmark of 30% cost of sale, 30% operating expenses, with expecting a 40% net income. And that is why, my friends, you will see more and more and more and more and more people getting into real estate, more companies getting into real estate that had not been real estate companies before, because there's expected 40%, at least 40% income net, right? And sometimes that's more. If you're an individual agent, your cost of sales is not necessarily going to be 30%. Your expenses are not necessarily going to be 30%. But it's a good thing to look at. You want to bring out your tools that we talked about, your budget and your P&L, to see if you're in these benchmarks, right? Because it can very quickly get off balance. So here is an example. And again, you will see these examples in the MREA where there's expense details and things like that. So it's showing you, again, these are benchmark percentages. This is not, hey, going to guarantee you may be over, you may be under, but if you're close, then this shows you have a balanced book of business and your profitability is high. And that's where we want to be, because we're in business to profit, right? And so we want to profit as much as we can. So there are some examples that you'll find on page 157. Gross income. And again, these are rough estimations at what you can look at. But what you want to start with, and that's what we talk about in the business planning clinic, which these slides are from, and when we teach Life by Design, that form that I have shared with everybody in business meeting, and I have shared it out via email. It's an Excel workbook, and you put in all of your expenses, all that you have debts, things like that, and then you put in your average commission income, right? And it's going to tell you how many deals you need to do to hit this. But the point of all of this, guys, is to always be looking at your numbers. Do not ignore them. This is how you're going to hit your target. This is how you're going to make more money. It has been shown that people that look at their numbers, look at their income, look at their net, look at their budget, make more money, because there's an awareness to it. And the bold law says what you focus on expands. So don't look at this like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, and it's just, I got to do so much. Look at this like this is your business. And when you treat it like a business, you're going to look at it like a business. And so don't go, oh my gosh, to be a millionaire agent, that's just so far away. What is your next thing? Okay. But inside of this book, it's going to show a lot of the benchmarks that reflect that millionaire real estate agent. Don't let that overwhelm you. You need to look at where you're at and where you want to be. So here's just an example of those benchmarks. Again, for your averages, it shows you your gross commission. So if you want to earn 150,000, 340,000, 640, it goes all the way up to $1 million and $2.5 million. Okay. And it's going to show you what you can expect your cost of sale, what you can expect your profit to be, what you can expect your expenses to be, and what you can expect your net income to be in each one of these GCI brackets. Like we've already said though, guys, your expenses and cost of sale may not be this much. You see how this one here at 150,000, the cost of sale is 13%. It's not 30%. Okay. So you want to look at where you're at. And this is why year over year, you want to look at your numbers. You want to be looking at your numbers quarterly. You want to be looking at your numbers monthly, so that you have an awareness and you can play that red light, green light. And we always want to lead with net revenue, making sure that we only spend money that our business has generated. And of course, the old saying goes, you need to make money before you spend it. And the key to start with this as early as possible and keep the discipline throughout your career. So if you're just getting started and you're like, oh my gosh, 150,000 gross commission is so far from where I'm at, start the practice now. Trust me, it adds up quickly. You want to lead with lead generation and sales, not your expenses. So don't go out day one, start spending money. You want to start earning money and seeing what you can do as inexpensively as possible, be as creative as you can, and use time, not money. That's that prospecting versus marketing. And that's what we covered in lead generation model. In the red light, green light, you're going to hold your money responsible for results. So if you begin with leading with revenue, you always are investing your money. Your sales business has already generated. Then your job is to hold that investment accountable. You want to concentrate on keeping your fixed costs like rent, salary, and leases as low as possible. And again, we highlighted having a capping model that you're in business with, because it's never going to go beyond that $23,000 annually, right? There are many other brokerage firms that say, oh, you got a higher split. But if you look at what's paid in, their cost of sales through the roof at that higher percentage. So here is there's a MREA budget accounts. There's a book of accounts. And this is kind of an example of that, where it shows you, your compensation, your GCI, your compensation, your lead generation, how much you're paying there, going down into occupancy. It's just a chart of accounts to help you keep up. Again, these are all benchmarks, but where you're at is where you want to look at, right? And you always want to be playing red light, green light with that. Here's a blank chart of accounts. And I have shared this before out via email, or this is profit and loss via email and throughout our Facebook group as files. So if you need a copy of this, just reach out and we'll get you one. Again, QuickBooks is easy to use, just a simple Excel sheet if you're using that, making sure that you're having these line items like compensation, lead generation, cost of sale. Those are things that you don't want to miss inside of when you're, oh, goodness gracious, inside of when you're looking at your profit and loss and your budget. So what are you guys taking away from today's budget model?
Being sure that we continuously look at our numbers so we can know where we are.
Right. And know, a lot of people say, oh, I want to be over there, but they don't know their real starting point and they don't have a plan to get to that point. And so, realtors are real fun with, we want to spend money and we have that kind of personality. We want to show off a little bit. But that's not what it's about. We're in business to make money, which means net more money. And you have to watch every dollar you spend and make sure that you're investing it wisely. Year over year, say this year you tried 4 lead gen practices and 2 new marketing items. Well, you look back 2021 and you're going, well, only 2 of those lead gen practices worked and only 1 of the marketing practices worked. So what are you going to do? You're going to play red light and knock off the things that did not work. And you're going to play green light and maybe invest more in the things that did work for 2021. It's as simple as that. Looking at what you're doing, what's working, what's not working, and making sure, and not by week, guys. You're not changing your lead gen model. You're not changing what you're doing week by week. You're keeping it a solid consistency, and so that you can then go back and look. And of course, if you all of a sudden see something's not working after you've given it some time, stop it. But don't just hop from thing to thing week over week. Those that have been in business a long time know your audience is paying attention, your message matters and your method matters, but it's really consistency over time, right? So it does take some time with some of those methods. Does anybody have any questions about the budget model? We just want to take these moments and be in a nutshell. So of course we dive deeper in the business planning clinic. We dive deeper into some of this in Ignite 2.0. So does anybody have any questions this morning though? Okay, well, that is it. In a nutshell, the whole point is to stay in touch with your spending, playing red light, green light, making sure that you know the benchmarks of 30% cost of sale, 30% expenses and 40% profit. Many of you will see more than 40% profit, which is phenomenal, but you need to be paying attention to your spending and leading with revenue. So I hope that you enjoyed it this morning. We will be having business meeting tomorrow. I think I've got something fun up my sleeve. And so I'll see you guys again in the morning at 9. And if I don't, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.